Question is, can the rally hold? Let's ask our first guest, Dan Shaffer, Shaffer Asset Management President and CEO. Dan, the more articles, welcome by the way, the more articles, it seems like there's a lot of naysayers out there who constantly snipe at this market moving higher. And they say, oh, but there's a horrible underbelly. It's only a few stocks that are leading the rally, and at some point, there's going to be a big collapse. You say?
Well, I agree with that. And if you look at who these naysayers are, I agree with it. But the naysayers are the ones that have been around 40 years.
They're going to be right at some point.
No, you don't see the younger crowd doing this. And that's because the experience. Now, I've been trading since 1982, and I understand markets, and I've seen and studied history. We are in a situation here that's similar to 1928. The Federal Reserve experimented in the late 20s about the economy, trying to stabilize it. The problem was that Benjamin Strong, who was head of the Federal Reserve, died in 1928, which left them in scrambles and didn't know what to do when the crash came in 1929. We also have some other cycles coming in, that in 1817, 1917, we had the panic, and in 1817, we had trouble with the markets, Napoleon Wars. So we're having cycles that are usually coming due around this time of the century. The problem is, and I'm going to be really blunt about this because I've spoken to many, many traders, somebody is fooling around with the VIX. The VIX is the volatility index.
It's so historically low.
Not only that, at 9:45 for the last 12 days, the VIX gets pushed down about 7 to 8% before the market goes down or up. And that's very, very strange. If you actually look at the last 12 days,
someone is messing with it?
There is something going on. My algorithms are pointing to some type of control.
How could that happen?
Well, I don't know who's doing it. I know that the Japanese government absolutely admits that they own the stock market. They're buying stocks. I don't know what our Federal Reserve is doing, but I do think they're experimenting. If you look at the S&P index, forget the Dow for a moment. The S&P for the last 12 days has been the futures has been pegged at 1275. Excuse me, 2275. They just peg it right at that number. It tries to go down, then the VIX moves down. The VIX usually is moving after the stocks move. It's moving before the stocks move. That puzzles me. So I'm going to tell you my long-term horizons on all what I see.
Sure.
I see our stock market on the Dow dropping at least 3,000 points. I see the S&P dropping at least 20% to put it into a bear market. I see the U.S. dollar getting very, very strong, the index at 112, the euro against the dollar at 0.85.
But there's money out there, Dan. Where does the money go?
Which money are you referring to? Well, a lot of cash has now been in the market. It's been put in. A lot of funds are low on cash. The money today is chasing these stocks that everybody loves, like Amazon, for instance, which I have no interest in long or short. This is a stock that's trading at 250 times the earnings, or 12.5 times the S&P. It's going to take at least 10 to 15 years at the current rate of growth to bring it in line. This is speculation.
But when you look at the Amazon story, it is slowly but surely, it appears to me, to start taking over many aspects of our life.
Well, it's a great story, but it's also becoming a little bit of a monopoly. You know, we got a little bit of issue.
The antitrust issues.
Yeah, that. But besides the fact, in the dot-com, people bought a lot of different stocks, hoping that everything would go up, and that crashed. Now they're isolated on only certain technology stocks, and technology is usually the end of a bull market. That's the last piece to go, and technology is taking over the world, which is less jobs.
Well, Dan, you have completely thrown me for a loop, because this is something I've not heard before.
And interest rates, by the way, are going to go down dramatically because the economy is going to slow down, and the Fed can't control that.
When's this all going to happen?
It's going to start now into 2018 and 19. That's my prediction. I could be
wrong.
I could be wrong.
I hope you are. All right, Dan.
Well, thanks for having me
back anyway. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.